The sky above burned red as strange ships hovered low over the fields of Dalnor, a peaceful farming world that had never known war before. Children cried in the open streets. Parents ran with them, but there was nowhere to go. The ships made no sound, but every living thing on the planet could feel the heavy fear pressing into their bones. Soldiers of the Krylok Empire dropped down from the hovering vessels. Their armor was black and sharp. Their faces were hidden behind glowing red masks. They gave no warnings. They only pointed and fired. The people of Dalnor had never fought anyone. They didn't even own weapons. They were artists, healers, builders of gardens and dreamers of peace. But now their world cracked apart under the boots of something far older and much more cruel. General Tarth, the Krylok commander, stood tall over the burning village. His cold eyes scanned the faces of the survivors. He was looking for something, or someone. Then he turned and gave a quiet order to his soldiers: check birth records. One of them came from the Forbidden's planet. One of them is a threat to the entire empire. Find the human. The word human made some of the younger soldiers glance at each other. They had heard stories, but only in old warnings. No one had seen a real human in over 1,000 years. Most thought they had all died long ago. Tarth knew better. The Emperor himself had sent him. He had whispered in a voice filled with fear, "If even one human still lives, destroy them before they remember what they are." On the edge of the forest, a woman named Malia held her son close and stared at the flames rising above the trees. Her hands shook, but not from fear. They shook because the name human had once been whispered to her by her dying mother. And now it returned like a cold wind in her ears. Her son, Kael, was only 17. He had never seen another world. He had never heard of Earth, but his eyes were sharper than most. His bones heavier, his breath stronger. The village healers had called it a gift. His mother had called it a curse. Kael watched the soldiers and saw how they moved. They were trained, yes, but they were afraid. Even with their weapons, they never stayed alone. They hunted in groups, like prey pretending to be predators. He whispered to his mother, "Why are they afraid of me?" She didn't answer right away. Then she looked him straight in the eye and said, "Because you are not from this world. You were born here, but your blood comes from a place they fear more than death itself." Kael didn't understand, but something deep inside him stirred. It was like a sleeping lion opening one eye. He didn't like the feeling. It made his heart pound. It made the trees seem smaller. It made the sky feel closer. The soldiers came closer to their hiding place. Malia turned to run, but Kael stopped her. He stepped out from the bushes and raised his hands. The soldiers froze when they saw his face. One of them lowered his rifle without knowing why. Kael spoke. "I am Kael of Dalnor. What do you want?" One soldier opened his mouth, but no words came out. General Tarth stepped forward instead. "We seek the one from the Forbidden's planet. You match the signs: strong body, sharp senses, no sickness. In 17 cycles, you are not Dalnoran." Kael looked down at his hands. Then he looked up. "I never knew Earth. I never saw it. But I won't let you burn this place." Tarth lifted a strange device and aimed it at Kael. "You don't understand what you are. That's the problem. You are not supposed to remember. Your kind were built for war. You ended empires by mistake. You were not born to live in peace." Kael's muscles tensed. Something deep inside cracked open. His ears rang. His breath slowed. He felt everything, every insect, every bird, every heartbeat nearby. He didn't know how, but he felt it. He moved before the device could fire. 1 second he stood still. The next he was holding Tarth by the throat. The other soldiers backed away in shock. No one was fast enough to stop him. Tarth struggled in his grip. "It's true," he gasped. "You don't even know your power. That's what makes you dangerous." Kael let go. Not because of mercy, but because his hand burned. With heat, the device had activated too late, but it had touched something inside him. His skin glowed for a second. The soldiers dropped their weapons and ran. Malia stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "Kael, you can't stay here. More will come, stronger. You must leave Dalner." Kael looked at the trees, then at the sky. "Then I'll go to the place they fear most. I'll find the truth. I'll find Earth." His voice was calm. But behind it, the lion was now wide awake. Asterisk was old and slow, but it was the only one left in the village hangar that hadn't been burned. Kael sat in the pilot's seat, his hands gripping the controls tightly. He had never flown beyond the skies of Dalner, but the strange feeling in his chest guided him better than any map. His mother sat beside him, her eyes full of fear and love. She whispered, "You don't have to do this alone. Let me come with you." Kael shook his head slowly. "If they follow me, they'll destroy anything close to me. You have to stay and help the others. I'll draw their attention away." The engine started with a rough growl. The ship lifted, shaking dust and ash from the burned ground. Below, the villagers watched in silence, unsure if they were seeing a hero rise or a curse leave their world. As the ship entered the cold space above Dalner, Kael looked back once. Then he faced forward and locked in a new course. The system marked as Earth on the star charts had been erased from most modern records, but one hidden log still held its coordinates. The stars passed slowly, then faster. The ship groaned under speed it was never meant to handle. Kael closed his eyes and felt the pressure in his blood. Something inside him responded, adjusting the ship without him touching anything. At the same time, deep in Krylok space, General Tarth stood before the Emperor. His face was bruised and his pride shattered. The Emperor stared down with cold silver eyes and said only one word, "Earth?" Tarth nodded slowly. "The human has awakened. He doesn't know his limits yet, but he will." The Emperor turned and walked to a large window that showed the burning red clouds of the Empire's capital. "Then we must stop him before he returns home. Once he touches Earth's soil, the blood of the old warriors will remember, and we will not survive what comes next." Kael's ship entered an asteroid field 2 days later. He hadn't slept. He couldn't. His dreams were full of strange memories that weren't his. He saw forests of glass, oceans made of clouds, people who looked like him, but moved like lightning and spoke in tones that cracked stone. He pulled the ship through narrow gaps between spinning rocks. The ship's systems warned him again and again, but he ignored them. His hands moved with perfect timing, guided by something beyond logic. When he cleared the last rock, Earth appeared in the distance. It was blue and white, quiet and full of life. But it also looked empty. No signals, no ships, no cities in orbit. Nothing but silence. Kael brought the ship down carefully, landing in a thick green forest near what used to be North America. As he stepped onto the soil, his breath caught. The air felt right. The gravity felt like home. And something inside him clicked. His body suddenly felt heavier, but stronger. The silence in his head broke. A low hum filled his mind. Not painful, not loud, just awake. As if the planet itself had whispered, "Welcome back," into his blood. He walked through the forest, each step feeling more natural than the last. Trees seemed to lean toward him. Animals didn't run. They watched him without fear. At the center of the forest, he found the ruins of an old human city. Steel bones of towers reached for the sky. Vines wrapped around them like sleeping snakes. The roads were cracked, but still there. Nature had taken everything back, but the shape of human greatness remained. Kael touched one broken wall. Images flashed in his mind. War, fire, a planet on its knees. But then, a choice. Humans had left Earth not because they were weak, but because they were too strong. They feared what they might become if they stayed. He fell to his knees, shaking. They didn't vanish, he whispered. They hid their strength in the stars. They left Earth behind to protect it. Suddenly, a soft sound came from behind. Kael turned fast, ready to fight. But it wasn't a Krylok soldier. It was a woman, tall, strong, her skin shimmered with gold, and her eyes glowed like the moon. She looked human, but not fully. She said gently, "You returned." "I've waited a long time." Kael stood. "Who are you?" She smiled. "I am what's left of Earth's memory. A guardian born from the soil itself. Your blood called to me the moment you touched the ground. You are the first to come back, but not the last." Kael stared at her. "They'll follow me." "The Krylok Empire. They fear this place." The woman nodded slowly. "And they should. Because once Earth remembers who she is, no empire will survive her children." The forest around them shifted. The winds picked up, and deep beneath the ground, old machines stirred. The planet was no longer silent. Kael looked up. "Then I'm ready. Let them come." His voice was steady. The soil beneath his feet pulsed with ancient power. Earth had just awakened. In the deepest part of the old city ruins, a doorway opened beneath Kael's feet. The earth moved with gentle force, revealing the stairway made of glowing stone. He followed it down, step by step, as the air grew warmer and heavier. The walls pulsed with soft blue light. The energy came not from wires or machines, but from the rock itself. It was alive, ancient, and waiting. The guardian woman walked beside him, her feet silent on the stairs. She said, "When your kind left this planet, they sealed its power deep underground. Only a human returning by blood could open it again." Kael asked, "Why did they leave if they were strong?" She stopped at the bottom of the stairs. Her eyes met his. "Because they feared themselves. They won too many wars, crushed too many enemies. Earth gave birth to something the galaxy could not understand. So the humans erased themselves from history." They stepped into a wide underground chamber. In the center stood a black stone shaped like a throne. Floating above it was a silver cube that turned slowly without sound. The woman bowed her head. "This is the heart of Earth. It remembers everything, every war, every birth, every choice your people made." Kael walked to it slowly. The moment he touched the cube, it stopped spinning. A rush of voices filled the air, male, female, young, old, all human, all speaking in one breath. "You have returned. The child of Earth walks again. Our time of silence is over." Kael's body glowed faintly. His skin shimmered. The cube sank into his chest and vanished. The room shook as if the planet had exhaled for the first time in centuries. The woman knelt. "You are now the key. Earth's memory lives in you. Its power answers only to you." Kael felt stronger, but also heavy with knowledge. He knew things he had never studied. Battle tactics from 1,000 years ago, languages long dead. Star paths to planets erased from maps. His blood had awakened something buried too long. Meanwhile, far across space, the Krylok Empire moved. Fast, their flagship, the Dominion Claw, flew toward Earth at speed no ship should survive. Inside, General Tarth stood before a fleet of warriors with one clear command: "Do not touch the soil. Do not let your skin meet Earth. If you do, it will know you. And it will destroy you." One of the younger commanders laughed. "It's just a dead world." Tarth turned slowly, eyes like ice. "It is not dead. It is sleeping. And it dreams. In teeth and fire." Back on Earth, Kael stood beneath the open sky again. The forest around him was no longer quiet. Animals gathered near. Trees swayed in rhythm. The air buzzed with energy. Earth was no longer hiding. The Guardian stood beside him. "You must decide now. Earth's strength is yours. But power is not enough. You must guide it, lead it." Kael nodded. I won't use it for revenge. But I won't let anyone burn. This world again. Far above, stars shifted. The Dominion claw entered Earth's orbit. Krylok soldiers prepared to land. Weapons locked, shields up. But as the first dropships moved toward the surface, something strange happened. The clouds moved against gravity. Lightning danced in silence. The dropships lost control one by one. They crashed into oceans, forests, deserts. None of them reached the soil. Kael raised his hand. The wind answered. Earth is alive, and she chooses who can stand on her skin. Tarth watched from orbit, fists tight. He's bonded with the planet. We're too late. Kael turned toward the sky. His voice reached farther than sound. You feared Earth. Now you fear me. But I'm not your enemy unless you make me one. The ground beneath him rose. Not in anger, but like a throne shaped from roots and stone. The animals bowed their heads. The sky turned golden. Earth accepted its child as king, not as a soldier. Then Kael spoke to the Guardian. If there are more like me out there, children of Earth, they need to come home. She nodded. They will feel the call. They will remember. Tarth gave the final command to retreat. No shot was fired. No battle began. But every soldier on that ship knew they had lost something far greater than a war. They had lost the silence of Earth. Kael watched them leave. Let them go. Let them carry the fear back. It will spread faster than fire. The planet calmed again. Trees sighed. Water shimmered. The galaxy would not forget Earth this time. It had awakened through one human. And that was enough. *. Days passed quietly after the Krylok ships fled. But the forest did not sleep. Kael moved through the deep green paths like a shadow touched by light. Birds sang near him. Winds shifted with his steps. Every breath he took felt cleaner. The power of Earth was no longer just under the soil, it was in him. He didn't speak much. Not because he had no words, but because everything around him now spoke in silence. The trees bent to his presence. The rivers paused for his reflection. Even the stones under his feet remembered his touch. The Guardian watched him from a distance. She never gave him orders. She didn't need to. Kael understood what he had become. He wasn't just the return of Earth's blood. He was the warning. Earth had kept hidden for too long. One night, while stars blinked low behind the clouds, Kael stood on the ruined tower at the edge of the old city. He stared toward the black sky where the Krylok ships had vanished. He could still feel them out there, watching, waiting. A low hum buzzed through the ground. He knelt and placed his palm on the stone. The message came not through words, but through memory. Other humans had felt it too. Across distant planets, far from Earth, echoes stirred. In the hidden corners of the galaxy, humans lived quietly. They farmed. They studied. They healed. But when Earth's pulse reached them, their hearts skipped. Their dreams changed. Something old inside them woke. On a desert moon, a girl pushed aside the sand to find a black shard glowing faintly. On a jungle world, a young man lifted a stone and saw an old Earth symbol burned into its face. Across a mining colony, a group of orphans dreamed the same dream of blue skies and forests that breathed. They didn't understand it yet, but Earth had called them. And soon, they would answer. Back on Earth, Kael returned to the underground chamber. The throne of stone was cold now. The silver cube inside him no longer glowed. But the ground beneath his feet pulsed with something deeper. The Guardian approached him. The signal has gone out. The lost children are waking. Kael looked up. Will they come? They will, some in peace, some in fear, a few with pain. But they will return. Kael nodded slowly. Then we need to prepare this world not for war, but for family. Together they moved through the ruins. Day by day, they rebuilt. Not with machines or power tools, but with Earth's own strength. Vines reshaped into homes. Stones softened into walls. Rain carried seeds that bloomed in hours. The old city rose again. Not as it once was, but as it was meant to be. Alive, connected, strong. And when the first ship broke through the sky, Kael stood ready. It was small, cracked with age. The engines coughed smoke. But when the hatch opened, a boy stepped out, no older than 10. His skin was pale, his eyes wide. Behind him stood a woman with tired hands and a hopeful smile. Kael walked forward without fear. He knelt and opened his arms. The boy ran into them. Earth accepted them both. Within weeks, more ships came, some alone, some in groups. Not all looked human. Some had blended with other species. Others carried scars from long journeys. But every one of them carried a piece of Earth in their heart. The city grew louder. Laughter returned. Children played in old gardens. Music rose from the wind. The humans of Earth were no longer myths. They were home. Yet in the darkness beyond the stars, the Krylok Empire gathered once more. Their leaders argued in circles. Fear twisted their thoughts. They didn't understand how Earth had returned, but they knew what came next if they waited. In the shadows, another voice rose. A new power, older than Krylok, deeper than fear. The Varnak Swarm had no eyes. Number. Ships. Only hunger. They felt Earth's signal like blood in water. And they turned toward it. Kael didn't know their name. Not yet, but he felt the shift in the stars. Something bigger than Krylok now stirred. And it would not come in silence. He looked at the sky again, this time with calm. Let them come. Let them test what Earth has become. We will not run again. The Guardian placed her hand on his shoulder. You're not alone anymore. Earth's children stand with you. Around them, thousands of returned humans worked, smiled, and built. A world once forgotten. But under their skin, deep in their memory, the old strength waited, and it would answer only to Earth. The stars above Earth flickered unnaturally as something vast moved through the void. It was not a fleet of ships. It had no engines, no lights, no metal armor. It moved like smoke that swallowed suns. It moved like a thought too loud to ignore. The Varnak Swarm had arrived. Kael stood on the cliffs near the forest edge. The new city behind him glowed with life and warmth, but the wind no longer felt calm. The soil whispered warnings through his feet. Earth was uneasy. He turned to the Guardian. What is it? It doesn't feel like Krylok. She nodded slowly. It isn't. This is older. It eats stars. It drinks memory. It moves between galaxies. It fears nothing but identity. And it fears Earth because we remember who we are. Kael closed his eyes. The silver cube inside his chest pulsed once. He saw glimpses, worlds drained of life, skies turned black, voices erased forever. The Varnak did not speak. It consumed. He opened his eyes. How do we fight something that doesn't care if we live or die? The Guardian answered with steady voice. We don't fight like them. We become what Earth made us to be. All across the city, the returned humans gathered. Old ones, young ones. Hybrids of distant bloodlines. Their skin glowed faintly. Their hands sparked. Their dreams were now filled with shared memories. Kael stepped forward. We are not just survivors. We are echoes of the strongest world this galaxy has ever known. And now Earth calls us to defend, not with fear but with truth. They raised their hands. Trees responded. Water curved upward. Light bent into shields. Earth didn't just feed them. It fought beside them. The sky cracked open like torn paper. From beyond it, the Varnak Swarm descended. No shapes. Only black clouds made of pain and hunger. Where they passed, stars dimmed. A dark tendril reached for Earth's surface. Before it could touch the soil, lightning speared upward from the mountains. Fire rose from rivers. Winds howled with ancient rage. Kael lifted both hands. The silver light from his chest expanded, forming a dome of power above the planet. It wasn't a weapon. It was a memory made real. Earth's will in living form. The Varnak recoiled, but they kept coming. More tendrils, more darkness. But every strike they made was returned by the land itself. Rocks rose into fists. Oceans shaped into beasts. The planet was not just alive, it was angry. Inside the dome, Kael moved like lightning. His feet left the ground. He flew into the upper sky, surrounded by energy. He met the swarm face to face. The swarm struck. It tore at his shield. It wrapped around him, trying to erase his mind. But Kael didn't break. He reached inside the cube within him. He pulled from the deep blood of his kind. Images flooded him. Earth's last defenders from 1,000 years ago. Children who stopped wars with a glance. Elders who moved mountains by breath alone. His ancestors had never vanished. They had hidden themselves within him. With a shout, Kael released the full memory of Earth. The dome expanded outward. A shockwave of light pushed the Varnak back into space. For a moment, the stars returned. The darkness pulled away, wounded but not destroyed. The Guardian watched from the forest below. Her voice carried to every ear. This is only the first wave. The Varnak do not stop until they are broken. Kael landed beside her. His knees shook, but he stood. Then we don't stop either. We protect this place until the stars forget their fear. The humans of Earth stood together now. Not as scattered tribes, not as lost travelers, but as a single force tied by blood and soil. Together they shaped defenses made of living nature. They sang songs that powered walls. They told stories that became fire. The city became a fortress not of steel, but of memory. Up above, the Varnak Swarm gathered again, larger this time. More determined, but now Earth had remembered herself. And she was no longer alone. Kael looked at the sky without blinking. Come. Again, bring your worst. This planet has already survived gods. Around him, thousands of humans raised their hands. Their hearts beat in rhythm with the planet. The stars above them darkened again, but not one soul stepped back. Earth had awakened. Fully. And the galaxy was about to learn why it had once feared the blue planet with quiet soil and strong blood. Asterisk. The sky above Earth turned black for the last time. The Varnak Swarm had returned. Larger than before, stretching across the stars like a wound in space. Their hunger had no end. Their fear had turned into rage. They wanted to bury Earth in silence forever. But Earth was ready. Kael stood at the center of the living city. Light flowed through his arms like rivers. His feet were rooted in stone, yet his spirit moved with the wind. The voices of millions echoed behind him. The humans of Earth stood in full strength. The Guardian walked beside him, calm and steady. This is not just a battle for Earth. This is a test for the galaxy. If we win, the Varnak will never return. If we fail, nothing will remain. Kael didn't flinch. We don't fail. Not here. Not on the soil that remembers our name. The first wave struck. The sky screamed. Black energy slammed into Earth's shield, but the dome held. It bent, rippled, but did not break. Trees screamed in unison, releasing spores that hardened the barrier. Rivers surged upward, turning into chains of water that lashed at the darkness. Kael took flight again. But this time, he wasn't alone. Dozens of other awakened humans followed him into the sky. Some rode beasts shaped by Earth. Others flew by will alone. Together, they formed a wall of light. They met the swarm head-on with the force of generations behind them. The Varnak fought with no mercy. They wrapped around the defenders, tore at their minds, tried to erase their names. But the humans fought back with memory. They spoke the names of fallen ancestors. They shouted old Earth languages. They brought fire made from remembrance. Kael broke through the core of the swarm. He saw it, a heart of darkness so deep, no light had ever touched it. It pulsed with ancient hunger. It reached for him, but Kael was no longer just one man. He was Earth's answer to extinction. He opened his arms. The silver cube inside him glowed brighter than ever. It pulled energy from every root, every heartbeat, every forgotten story of humanity. He released it all into the swarm's heart. A storm of light exploded. It wasn't heat. It wasn't sound. It was truth, pure memory, pure identity. The one thing the Varnak could never consume. The swarm cried without voices. It trembled, cracked, then it began to fall apart. Its shadow peeled away like smoke. The heart pulsed once more, and then shattered into dust. Across the sky, the blackness cleared, stars returned, the night grew calm again. Silence fell not of fear, but of peace. Kael floated back down, his energy fading. His feet touched the soil gently. He dropped to one knee. The cube inside him stopped glowing. Its work was done. The guardian reached him and knelt. It is finished. Kael looked around. The defenders landed slowly. Some wept, some laughed. All stood together, breathing the same free air. The soil pulsed once. Earth spoke to all of them. Without words, you are mine, and I am yours. Never again forgotten. Days passed, then weeks. Ships arrived not to attack, but to witness. Other species came in peace, drawn by the silence left behind by the Varnak. They walked on Earth's soil. With care, they spoke gently. They listened. No empire ruled Earth now. No flags, no thrones. Only people who remembered who they were. People who carried the strength of the planet inside their hearts. Kael healed slowly. His powers quieted. But he was still Earth's firstborn. Children gathered around him to hear his story. He told it not with pride, but with calm. With truth. Said, we didn't win because we were strong. We won because we remembered. That was all Earth needed. The guardian smiled beside him. She had become something more than guide. She had become family. The humans called her the Root Mother. She called them her children. In time, the city of Earth grew again. But it never forgot. Its towers bent with the trees. Its roads flowed with rivers. Its people lived not above the land, but beside it. The stars watched from a distance. And they did not laugh at Earth. They did not challenge it again. They honored it, respected it, and feared it in quiet ways, because now they knew the planet they had once called weak had only been silent. The people they had once scattered had only been sleeping, and when Earth awoke, she did not roar, she remembered.